us, Yolanda. Can you hear me?
No sound.
Oh, we hear
There she
you.
is. Hello, Yolanda.
I've got them on.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
No sound.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when it's your turn to talk, I'm going to put this I have this little miniature loudspeaker. I'm going to hook it in. You won't be able to hear us, but they'll be able to hear you a whole lot better when you do your talk, when you give your presentation. Otherwise, yeah, so that you can hear us. I was hoping it would go both ways, but it doesn't. It's mostly, it's a speaker so you can hear stuff better.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I thought I'd try it to see if it worked. Okay, where's Sherry?
Right here.
Oh, okay, you snuck in. Anybody else coming?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, can you shut the doors? Can somebody shut the door? Thank you. Well, welcome to our meeting. This is not the annual congregational meeting where you get all those reports. So this isn't going to be like, 2 hours long or something. It's, before I start explaining it anymore, I just want to remind you, I'm Mary Russ, and I am not on the council. I have not been elected to the council this year, and I purposely did that so I could run some other things. So, but because we're short right now on council members, and our current president, Jerry Englehart, is trying to heal from her ordeal in the hospital. So she called me up and asked me if I would step in and help to organize and run some of the stuff. So I've been pretty busy lately. And we have some of our members here that are on council. Jack's on the council, Sherry's on the council, Joe's on the council. Who am I missing? Patrice. Where's Patrice?
On vacation.
Oh, that's right. She had to go on a trip. Yolanda is on the council still, and they moved away to New Mexico, if you didn't know that. But she and Veronica got a wonderful job there as an assistant minister. And so there they are. And Yolanda's still doing our finances. She, I don't know if you can see anybody, but they're all wanting to wave at you. She is still doing all our finances and comes to all our meetings online. And so, we still have her. She can't sign checks from way over there, but we have people on that can sign checks, so that's not an issue. So one of the things that Yolanda's going to do today is give a financial update. Pretty much everything we're doing today is just to kind of get it out there where we're at. I know it's been like a year or two since we had our table talks. Remember those when we were updating you regularly on what was going to happen, what's been happening, what we try to do as far as selling the buildings and, all of that kind of stuff. So with that, what we wanted to start with is we want you all to just really think about why you come to church. What is your vision of what brings you to Trinity? What makes you want to stay with Trinity? What is it what's the most important thing about Trinity to you? So I'm going to give you some sticky papers, and Sherry, somebody help me pass these out. And you can write as much or as little as you want. I'll give you about 3 or 4 minutes. If you have a pen or a pencil, that would be nice. Okay. Is that sheet full? You want the big sheet? That's bigger. You got to keep your hand under it.
I have it now. Thank you.
Okay. The ones that are up here are from people that aren't here today, that I already put on there.
I don't know.
Each one of these has 3 or 4 pieces of Post-its. Don't you write because I like yours. You were going to write that. Okay, I think there should be enough of those. If not, we have more. No, there's pencils in some of the chairs behind you, if you can feel them. I don't think all of them have them. You have an extra one? I might have a couple in my purse.
I haven't.
You have one? Okay. Good.
Okay, I got one. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll give you a few moments, minutes, so you can get your thoughts down. You don't have to sign it.
Does anybody else need a paper?
What does she want? What on this? Why? You want to know why we go here?
Tom, you can come closer.
How's the weather back there?
Yeah. I was hoping everybody would sit right up here close so we could talk.
We don't bite.
Okay. I'm going to collect them and we're going to stick them on to this sheet and other sheets if we have a lot more room. But I'd like a few of you to just share if you're willing. Okay, Dale.
It reminds me of when I was a child, we were in the Lutheran church growing up. That's where I was introduced to God. And now I'm just taking my mother. So I have to say that. Okay?
So you've always been a Lutheran and you've got to bring your mom.
No,
Or else.
I go to a different church. But I believe in Jesus Christ, the way,
Yeah.
the truth, the life. And you're preaching the truth. That's one reason I'm staying, with my mother. If not, I would just drop her off and let you guys deal with her. But
Okay.
yeah, it's good. God is
Watch
here.
out, she's really close. You
I
know
know.
that mom's hand?
Got that cup.
Yeah, I can see it coming. Anybody else want to share why you come to Trinity and why you want to keep coming with Trinity?
Well, it took a long time to find a church to which I felt I could belong.
Oh.
I frustrated the Methodist minister and refused after taking membership classes 3 times and refused to join. And I went to college. I took a course in Roman Catholicism. I went to the Missouri Synod Church. I was baptized in the Episcopal Church. Went to the Missouri Synod Church, the Episcopal Church, I don't know, a whole bunch of them. And I came here and started going to the Episcopal Church. I met Lee. He brought me here. And it's where I fit. I believe the same. The people are wonderful. It is my family with God.
Your family. I hope you all heard that. That was wonderful. She's been in all kinds of churches, baptized in different churches.
Mary,
A church? Yes.
we can't hear back here.
Okay, that's why I wanted you all up here in the front. Move, please.
I'm here and I couldn't hear.
We're not going to get a microphone out, so please come and sit up here with
I'll
us.
turn around next time I have something to say.
Yeah.
Okay, first stand up. First stand up.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
I just talked too much.
Well,
Connie?
I come to worship with like-minded folks and have been so happy to have so many special people here. And it's so sad to have such a small group now. I just hope you have some solution for us. I come to sing hymns, and I really prefer the old familiar hymns, and I'm not alone. So I just would like to offer that also, that are familiar and easy to sing and not repetitious. But it's just, I hope we can find some solution.
We need to grow.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? Okay, rather than have you all get up and walk up here and put your sticky up, how about somebody go collect them? You want to help? Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Sherry. Okay. And then we will stick the ones that you wrote on up here, and we're doing a gathering of all the different ideas. You can see two people wrote, one wrote, I go to church to worship God and have fellowship with friends. The other one wrote, I love this congregation and I'll go along with whatever we decide as a group. There's 3 checks here because I have 3 that have been turned in writing that says pretty much that same thing.
Okay, I got it. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Pastor.
Yeah, I had to put it down because I can't stick it. I know, stick it on there. There's another one that came in, but yeah. Thank you. This one says, I go to church to hear the gospel, songs, meet friends. Growing up, I went every Sunday, no excuses. I also grew up in the Lutheran church in South Dakota and then here in California. I was in ALC and then the LCA, and then when they combined and made the ELCA, and then when I came from South Dakota to Long Beach and then here to Hemet, I'm still in the ELCA, and that's what I grew up with. Lots and lots of Lutheran ministers, Lutheran churches. My mother was a secretary of a huge Lutheran church. We had 4 ministers in South Dakota. We had 3 in Lakewood at St. Timothy Lutheran, which was huge. When I came here, there were a full-time, Tim Phillips, Pastor Tim, Pastor Marta Ruth, part-time, almost full-time, and then we had a retired one. Debbie helped me with his name. He would preach every now and then for us too, and he was always here.
Pastor Haugen?
No, I don't remember his name though. That wasn't it. But anyway, so we've been through lots of different ministers. So I love the music too, the tradition. But I like the modern versions too. So I like both. I like to blend. You noticed today the music was all traditional songs, but some of the background music might have been a little different, Sometimes you'll hear it with an organ, sometimes you'll hear it with a guitar, but it's still the same songs. Basically, all out of our hymnals. So we do try to stay fairly traditional, except for some of the pre-music and post-music that I generally play before you come and sit down, and afterwards that I like to play. And I've been doing that since we moved into there, mostly because air conditioning didn't work in here, and we needed to move somewhere where there was air conditioning during the summer. Now we've fixed it, and both churches, the Spanish-speaking church, Casa de la Oración, we both kind of like being in there. It's less expensive to heat it or cool it. And we sound better because we're singing closer together instead of being in this great big vacuum. But it is a beautiful celebration center, and we might want to talk about it on council, whether or not we're going to put the Christmas trees up and the nativity scene and all that, which wouldn't really fit in there very well, but it fits in here beautifully. So we'll see, how we go on that. But today, what we want to talk about mostly is an update. Because we hadn't been doing our table talks for a while. And basically, I think most of you know this. I'm going to keep my part really short, and then Sherry's going to talk, and Jack's going to talk, and this magic woman still does shorthand. Isn't it amazing?
That's my sister.
She's our secretary, and Joe has to keep doing that. And Yolanda's going to be giving a report also. Okay, so with in mind why we're here, I just want to remind all of us of some of the history. For the past 10 years or so, since Pastor Bungie left, we've had interim pastors like Pastor Larry Koger, Linda Vogelsson. We've had Pastor Chris was at long term. We've had, we went through a period of time when we did ARCOM. Remember the redevelopment community outreach program, and we had studied our church and our environment and our neighborhood and what could we do as an outreach. We all took training, and I was part of that, and we finally got a brand new seminary person out of seminary who was trained to run a church with that kind of outreach program, that mission. And that was Pastor Erin Armstrong, and she was only here about a year and a half. And then, of course, her husband couldn't get a job, so he got one in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that's where they ended up going. So it's been, supply pastors for the past several years. Then we got hit with COVID. At the time, we had Rachel. Pastor Rachel was a really big help, even though we were putting her through seminary and funding and all that. But she was a wonderful help for us to get us through those times. She did remember when we started on Zoom, and we would all have our coffee on Zoom, and we'd have our gathering on Zoom, and we had church. And it was fairly good. We had a nice turnout for something that was kind of brand new and scary for us. Scary that we were having COVID, and brand new that we all had to learn how to use Zoom. And we actually found it was pretty easy and fun. So we've been through all these stages during these years. About 5 or 6 years ago, when we started trying to sell our churches, our church buildings, we talked about it for a while. I know for me it brought tears to my eyes to think of the buildings, losing the buildings. But that's been so long ago, it's not tears to my eyes. The buildings are actually what's keeping us down. The buildings and they warned us, the ELCA actually told us, people from there said, the numbers are declining, you need to think about, trying to sell those buildings and get into something smaller that you can afford. And so we were working at it. But we started with working with the Bouchures. That's Gerald and Ryan Bouchur. Their real estate office only deals with churches all over California. Years and years of experience. They're the best out there. And that's who we still work with. Every year we have an annual renewal with them. Although we've done a great job of keeping it up, maintaining it, our buildings look good. We put new lighting, we put new fencing, we put security cameras, we put new roofs on the top. Every building except this one, which is so steep it didn't seem to leak except in the sacristy. But, we've done a great job of doing our due diligence of keeping these buildings looking nice so we hopefully could sell them. So at this point, we've just been declining so much in numbers. I mean, it isn't just that people don't come anymore. It's also we have actually lost a lot of members. We've been putting on a lot of funerals the last several years. We are aging out, you know. I always tell my friends, I'm 75 and I'm one of the youngest people at my church, you know. And it's the truth. And I'm thinking that's really scary because, you know, our numbers, we're just, the fewer we have, the less income, the less able we are to maintain all these buildings. We have to sell these buildings. It's really, really important. Okay, with that, I want Sherry to go over the part she was going to talk about. We've been meeting, we met with Pastor Darrell from the bishop's office this last week, and then we met with the brochures again before we wanted to talk to you guys again. So Sherry's going to talk about our meeting with Pastor Darrell.
Our meeting with Pastor Dell went very well. We were pleased with some ideas he came up for us. We will work on them. I also said, hey, at least all of us, each of us, have many friends over at Spirit of Joy. We've had combined services. We've had a pancake breakfast. We have Oktoberfest. And all of us have been back and forth multiple times. And it's all been so positive. I know a lot of us here, and I would like to keep that positively going for us. And, you know, I'm kind of new kid on the block. My husband and I came in 2000, and both of us have been very active all through the years. And we've enjoyed it. We love the people here. We love the congregation. But as Barry said, we are going down in numbers. We need to try to get people to come. And some of them just can't come because they're in homes, and we understand that. But we need to talk to them as well and keep them in touch with us. Some of our families have had health issues. A number of us have. And yes, I'm in the middle of most of that, some of the time. And I always can't share, but all I can do is say, ask for prayer for those members of our church that need that help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, Jack's going to talk about what we've already knew some of it, but what we've learned. There's some new stuff we've learned from the brochures just this week.
I hate to be too long-winded, so maybe, I don't know. Anyway, as you all know, I've been here a long time. I've been here 50 years. My daughter was baptized the year we came here, and she turns 50 this month. So that tells you how old we are.
That's how he knows he's been here 50 years.
But anyway, I want to put out a special thanks to some folks because I think that they've really stepped up, and I want to acknowledge Pastor for his leadership and his wisdom in these times. It's a difficult time for us. Of course, I want to acknowledge Mary Rust, who has stepped up and providing a lot of leadership for us. I know she's been immediate, you know, she's been past president, past this, past that, she's been passed out, I think. I want to thank Pat Johnson for stepping out, and she's not here today, but she stepped up and has joined the council and acknowledges she doesn't really know an awful lot about former things and everything else, but she stepped up. And I want to thank Joanne for stepping up and becoming secretary at our time of need.
Again.
I want to especially thank Yolanda for her leadership as treasurer, with her having to leave Hemet and still working with us. It would just been really difficult for us to try to turn the treasury over at this time to somebody else, and it's really helpful that she stayed on. I'd also like to thank Jerry Engelhardt. She's not here today, but she's stepped up as our president. I'd like to acknowledge our past recent president. She's been very, very involved with the the sale of the church, probably knows more about the sale of the church than anybody else here. And so I'm sure she has ideas, but anyway, I want to thank her for being here. So I want to thank all of you here today, and I appreciate your support.
And we thank Jack Simmons also.
Who's that? I don't hear very well. So. We recently met with the realtors regarding the sale of our property, and that's Ryan and Gerald Bashore. And I find them to be very helpful, knowledgeable, and professional. They're really trying to help us. It's a very difficult time right now to try to sell a large church like ours. There's multiple churches for sale in Southern California, the state of California. And large churches have not been selling. Multiple reasons for that, but most churches today are downsizing rather than getting larger. And you see large booming churches, they're kind of staying put, but they may be booming with the amount of people they have for whatever reason, but they're not building many facilities either. The Bashores sent out emails and alerts to over 3,000 interested entities around the developers, investors, and churches. Our current selling price has been at $3.2 million. We felt that perhaps maybe we need to move on that, and I'll discuss that soon. But the other thing is, in selling our church, we are zoned as a church, which in the city is considered what they call S1, religious use only. And rezoning could be costly, probably costly, and there's no guarantee of success. So also, there's also what they call opportunity map zoning, which kind of tells businesses and other things, how viable you are to developers and so forth, and they grade them 1 to 10, 10 being good and 1 being not so good, and we're a 1. So anyway, we're not.
It's based on the surrounding tax base of the homes around us.
You look in the community around us, we're not in the, maybe we're at Sanderson, Florida or something, there's all kinds of things going on there. But right now, we're not zoned very good. Now, if we were able to become rezoned residential, we may be able to be attractive to maybe some low-income housing. They're looking for that all over the state, even the nation, but you have to qualify. There is some low-income housing in Hemet, but I don't know, there's a lot that goes into all of that, and so that's all going to take time. So where do we go from here? Well, the action, in talking to the Bashores, they thought we should lower the price, but not too dramatically. So we may lower the price to like $2.8 million. And then the other thing, we can try to approach the city regarding our zoning, see if anything. But, cities and governments don't move really fast. So, how you can get a fast change, I don't know how we're going to do that. But I did put a call out to our city council member, who is Linda Krupa, and she was a former member of Trinity years ago. Linda's a really nice person, and she told me, which surprised me, that she didn't know an awful lot about zoning. She's been a councilman for years, but that doesn't mean any reflection on her. It's just maybe people don't approach them about zoning so much. Businesses go into zoning probably more than churches, but we do need to see what we can do. If it's not something that can be done quickly, who knows how successful we would be in rezoning. The other thing is to try to look into getting more renters or renters coming into our property, but that's something we can explore. But then again, being a landlord, I've been a landlord before, it isn't that much fun. And the church is a landlord now, actually, to a couple different entities. We're really a landlord for the Racine Church, and we're a landlord for the community pantry. And actually, it's been a mission for us on the pantry because they don't have a lot of money. They can't support us a lot financially. They do upkeep and provide their utilities and do a lot of other things, but as far as being able to provide us with extra money, it's not been very fruitful. So in closing, currently, we need money to keep going at the present time. So stewardship is an important thing. I mean, if anybody, you want to keep up your pledges, and if you can give a little bit more, fine. But, if somebody come in and gave us $1 million tomorrow, we may burn that through that in so many years, but it doesn't solve our problem. Our problem is growth, and we haven't been able to grow. And so just giving enough that we can get to the other side of this thing, I think, is the most important thing. And so I encourage everybody to hang with us. I mean, we need for better term, a soft landing for Trinity Lutheran Church. A hard landing is, you got no more money, we all have to leave tomorrow. We have responsibilities with what personnel we have and so forth. So I'd just like to encourage everybody to hang in there and work with us in the next few months to whatever it takes to get through to the other side. I know I think we have the synod behind us, but another close. The synod, he said that they have 14 other troubled churches within the synod. So we're not in any empty boat. We're in the same boat of a lot of other people.
And it's
Some
true
of
all
them,
over the country.
some of them are on the verge of the same thing happening to us. I mean, to them as us.
Right.
That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, it's really tough right now to sell a big building, these kind of buildings. The churches who are looking for buildings aren't that big, and they can't afford to buy anything this big. Jerry and Ryan Bouchard suggested if we, say, drop the price to like 2.8 for 60 days, it'll come out as a new blast. When they do their email blasts every week, people go look for new stuff because it's so much to look at. They skip. But when you put a new one or you change a price, it comes out as a new blast. I don't know if it turns yellow or what, but it catches their eye. And then if half of these people that they blast, about 1,500 of them, are investors, and the other half are other churches and people like that. If we drop it, not too much, but enough that might come out, that might be a good deal, people might want to bargain with us. They said, for instance, some church, let's say there's a church that's got 500 people and they need a bigger building. They might not be able to put a down payment for a $3.2 million, but they might be able to put a down payment for 2.65 or something. If we lower it to 2.8, maybe they'll bid on it or something and want to negotiate with us or whatever. One thing they cautioned us about is we don't want to take back a loan from anybody. 90% of them default. They think they're going to be able to make their payments, and then they don't. And then we're stuck again with the same property in probably worse condition if it wasn't taken care of like we do. And so they recommended we don't try to take back a loan. These people need to have their own funding and their own, banking or whatever they're working with. So that's another thing. Now, next person I want you to listen to is Yolanda, and she's going to give a rundown of how our finances and our income's been going. But I want to plug in my speaker because her voice will be amplified that way, and that will help a little. Okay, let's see if she starts talking. Wait a minute, what does it say?
Everybody make sure her sound is.
Yeah. She can't hear me. Oh, she's talking and I can't hear her now. That's strange. I had her on here before.
Let's get her, let her
Yeah.
know that we couldn't hear her.
Yolanda, can you hear me? Okay, it says my microphone defaulted to something else, so I got to figure out how to make this work. Yeah, I thought so. Hang on a minute. I don't want to lose her while I go to settings, but I'm going to change this. Okay.
May I ask a question while you're doing that?
Sure.
Jack, did the Synod have any suggestions for, and Sherry, you two, Synod?
Yes,
Where is it?
all of us, Joe,
Oh, all of you.
Joe,
Click on the
Jack,
arrow.
and Mary was also there. So.
Are the 1,400 churches they have in the same
Choose
situation?
where to play the sounds.
Multiple cases. That's what they're.
Looking for a solution as we are?
Put
Yes,
Bill out.
very much so.
Yes.
And there's some that have
Okay,
completely,
play.
and I'm not trying to be negative. There are some of the churches in this area,
No,
Southern California, have had to close completely because they
it's not Bluetooth.
that have not made
It's
it.
not
That
wireless.
have not made it.
Yeah, but it's keyboard, just phones.
So then what happens?
Plug it in.
But it's Bluetooth. We don't want Bluetooth.
What happens to our property then?
Recently,
Other
Lake
devices turn
Elsinore,
that wire down.
they had been a sister church to another church, and that just ended, so it's like a bankruptcy in some respects, because you go out, it's like going out of business, but you no longer have a fellowship going to your church, and so members have the opportunity, of
That's
course, to
probably it.
disperse to another ELCA church. The Synod takes over the property and has to deal with it, and then once that sells, I was surprised that they said that some of the decisions of what happens to the money falls on the church that was there, where they can make some decisions as to where the money goes, but the money is within the Synod, you know.
I missed a little. Did you mention that if we merge with another church, ELCA, we get to take all our money with us and all our endowment?
Yeah, if in fact we merge, we can take our endowment
Yolanda,
with
can you
us,
hear
which
me?
is 180 from 75. I don't know. It's
Talk.
pretty substantial amount of money, and
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
All right.
just
All right, let's try this again.
Okay.
Good morning.
good morning.
As Mary said, even though I'm not in Hemet physically, I continue to perform the duties as your treasurer, i.e. approving the bills, getting them paid. The only difference is that I'm not there to sign checks, so we have taken care of that problem by getting other people covered for that. For several months now, we have been operating in the negative. We have certain obligations that we need to meet, as well as our operating expenses each month. Our operating expenses and obligations are about $10,200 a month. That's utilities, payroll, insurance, those kinds of things. The necessary things to be in the church. Our average tithing has been, over the last 8 months, around $7,600 a month. So, if you looked at that, if our expenses are $10,200 and our tithing average is $7,600, we've been operating in the negative around $2,600 each month. And this has been going on for several months. So, some of the reasons for this is unexpected expenses that we've had, like the vandalism, and we've had to have windows replaced, etc. And another reason is that our tithing has not been as it should be. Some people have tithed X amount of dollars, and that's not what they're giving us. Other people have tithed, and we're not receiving any tithing from them. So that makes it very difficult for us to operate. I don't know what the answer is, but like Jack said, we need to pray about it, and we need to think about if there's any extra money that can come in, if there's something else we can do to raise money. I don't know what else to say except that, we are operating in the negative. We have been for several months, and at this rate, we will not be able to sustain ourselves. And I'm afraid that's going to happen before we're able to sell the church. So I'm asking that everybody continue to pray for Trinity, continue to pray about their pledges, continue to pray about their giving of their time when we need it. And yeah, may God continue to favor us. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Yo.
I'm going to unplug that so she can hear us, because this is a one-way street with this amplifier, just for her voice to come out. Now that I've unplugged it, she can hear us. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Yolanda? Okay, I wanted to point something out too. Financially, we don't have a mortgage. A lot of churches do. We burned that thing, remember that day?
Yeah.
Right here in the church. We do have a loan for when we were doing the solar, which we half paid off and rolled what was left into our roofing loan. We owe about $190,000 on that. And then there's our regular bills that we pay every month and stuff. If we could sell the church for even 2.8, minus say 200,000, we would walk away with a lot of money. Way more than we would need to find a full-time pastor with all the benefits and for years to come. Or if we took that and even merged with, say, Spirit of Joy or another church, we would have a lot to offer that church. And still have our endowment funds, too, that we can give out to young people that are going to college. What do we want to be our, not reputation, but our legacy? What do we want for our legacy? What do we want? If we can sell these buildings even for $2 million, even for 1.7, we're still going to walk away with a lot of money. We need to sell these buildings, and we can still keep going as a congregation. We really need to sustain ourselves until we can get these buildings sold. Yes.
What do we do? I don't want to be negative, but the church has been for sale for almost 10 years.
But we've never changed the price. No, it isn't even 10 years yet, but it's more like 6 or, I don't know, 7. Charlie.
If we don't,
5. Okay.
if we don't,
5 since we've signed a contract anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we were talking about it
1
before
year
that.
before that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
If the church does not sell,
Mhm.
what do we do?
Well, again, I think Jack mentioned, if the church doesn't sell, it goes, if we default, it goes to the Synod. They don't really want to have to deal with property, but we wouldn't be the first church that defaulted, and the Synod ended up with it in their hands. So, it still, sooner or later, they've got to sell it to get the money back out of it. I think we just haven't tried to do enough yet. We haven't lowered the price even once. We need to try that. And they said, you don't want to really drop it too low too fast. They'll think something terrible is happening, and they're thinking we're weak, or we're going to, they're not going to bid a decent price for this. But at least go down to 2.8. That's a pretty big drop. That's $400,000 drop. Drop it and see if we get some bids, only for 60 days. That's what he suggested. If that doesn't work, we'll drop it again for another 60. We have to sell. And we're also working with Linda Krupa. So now if we can get the inroads to get zoning changes, or at least an investor, developer type, who wants to get in on the government's building tax credits, they get 30% off of their taxes if they build low-income housing. That's a huge amount of money. Let's say they build a $10 million complex of apartments. They get 30% of that not taxed. That's a huge amount of money for them. That's a big incentive. And when you're dealing with developers, they need incentives. And right now, the state of California and the federal government want low-income housing built in every single city. And some of the cities are really getting on it, and others aren't. And we're going to be in trouble in our city if we don't do something. So this is the time to hit them with it now that the government is saying you need to do this. They need to work with us and change our zoning so we can sell to developers and make whatever money we make.
But wouldn't if you sold it to a developer, wouldn't it be at a much lower price because they're going to raise?
Not necessarily, not if they're going to make, a lot of money.
Raise the building.
It's all, but they won't even look at it at the price we're trying to sell it now. And it would be nice if we worked with the city and we got them to agree that, and the Bouchers had told us this before, sometimes the developers will pay for the rezoning. If there's an incentive, they've already got the one incentive from the government now for the tax credits. If they can work with them and it'll be part of the sale, that we would reduce whatever that costs. Let's say it costs $50,000. That's what they said to begin with. $52,000 in 2 years. I remember that. Okay. If they want us to drop our price by $52,000, that's a no-brainer. We could do that. And that'll pay for their rezoning. It's just a matter of, do you find somebody that's wanting to do this, that's capable of doing it, that has maybe a history of doing some rebuilding, low income. Charlie?
Over the years, I've talked to the City Hall quite a bit.
Can you talk loud?
Over the years, I've talked to City Hall quite a bit. And one of the things I found out, because I was doing some checking one day, on the website for the city, it said that we were in R3. That's what that's what they were before we were annexed in. And until about 2 years ago, when I discovered that and asked them, wait a minute, it says on your map that we are R3, and then I'm afraid they corrected it because they realized they made a mistake. It was supposed to be S1. But because we were R3, I think if you could get somebody to talk to City Hall, to the planning department, and say, we just want to go back to what you had it before.
Yeah. Let me say this is what I know, partly through you and partly just from history. Our first church, you've seen pictures of it drawn on the wall, was on Florida. It was a wooden structure. And the parsonage was back here somewhere, and they lived here. So it was R3 and religious at the time. We built a new church, which was over there, and then later we built this one, and we built the Sunday school, and then the last thing we built was the preschool. Okay. So basically, during that time, we were, S1 is for the church, and R1, I think, is for single family. R3 is multiple family. I don't think we were ever R3, I think we were R1, but we were both. And then they annexed they annexed this property, the city annexed us, only our church and all those stores along there. Not the people across the street, not the apartment next door. They're still all county. That's all county. So we're this little bubble, and then they deemed us S1 only, because our parsonage wasn't here anymore. That kind of happened without anybody really not objecting, not even realizing what was going on. Or if they did know, they probably thought, well, we have, 1,000 people that come here every Sunday. We had 3 full services when I came here in the 90s. There was a lot of people here, standing room only in most of the services. We had a lot of people. So whatever they did with the zoning, we figured, I wasn't on the council at the time, but they probably thought, well, sure, it's going to be religious forever. This church has been here almost 100 years. Why would they think it was going to become an issue? We just celebrated our 100th anniversary not that many years ago. And here it is. Look how fast things just went crashing down. I know COVID did a lot to us, but even without COVID, numbers are going down. People aren't going to church anymore. They didn't grow up like I did, or probably like most of you did. It's not their habit. It's their habit to go to the river instead of going to church or whatever, So, and I don't know that we could turn the tide, but those of us who are still worshiping Christians need to relieve ourselves of these huge properties that are like an anchor. It's going to pull us down like the Titanic.
You know what's really sad? There's so much mental illness and psychological struggling in our country and in our state, yet they're not going to a place that can actually help that without a very expensive counselor fees to be paid.
Yeah.
Or, they come here and do that and be part of the community.
It's really sad. It's, we could talk all day about how sad it is and what's been going on. And today I didn't really want to be a sad day. We've had a lot of funerals and sad days lately. I wanted it just to be a day when all of the council, we've been talking about it. We wanted to be a day when we can at least look each other in the face, talk about where we're at. These are our choices. We want you to know where we're at. We're going to keep working with Linda Krupa and try to get in an inroad. We're going to take Jerry Bouchard with us because he knows all about those things. He was willing to come out and go with us to talk to them. First, we have to figure out who we're going to get to talk to. So that's going to be the next step, and maybe we'll go in as a group of maybe 4 people. Not a lot. We can't take you all with us, but we want them to know we're an important part of this city, and we have been for years. And there is no tax base here. They're not going to make any money off of this unless they start helping us figure out what we're going to do with all this property. You could build apartment buildings or multi-family units and have some tax base, There'll be revenue coming in. They're not helping themselves by not helping us get through this.
We are running at a deficit every month. How long can we sustain that? Not until the church sells, certainly.
Well,
that's part of what Yolanda said.
Yeah.
We're
not going down next month. Don't worry about that. We've got a few months to go, And if everybody would even just start giving what they're supposed to be giving, it is stewardship time. It's time for those letters to go out for starting January, what you're going to be willing to give. That week maybe we can get some more. Maybe those who didn't pay all their tithing this year might, if we could write a letter to them, maybe we could let them know we really, really need that because our budget depended on it. If everybody were paying what we built the budget based on what they said they were going to give. So, then you subtract a percentage because not everybody does what they say they're going to give. But it's usually not that, as bad as it is right now. Just lately, course, summer is always our low spot. Summer is when people are gone on vacations, they're not around, they forget to give. Usually they come back in the fall. You know, we'll see if we could bring it back up and get through our months ahead. But let's say we could sell it in 6 months. We can't have everybody quit now and not be paying, or we won't get there, and then we won't be able to sell it, and then we won't get the money.
But may I ask, if the Realtor receives a lowball offer, that is good, not good price-wise, but if it's within our,
We give them, we work with them.
they have a?
They won't negotiate with somebody. First of all, they vet these people, and they find out if they're worth the money. They won't even talk to them if they don't have a bank account that's got some money in it.
Of course.
Secondly, they'll negotiate, but they'll have the council involved in the negotiations. If they're not going to negotiate without talking to us.
Okay.
They know that. So, yeah. And if somebody lowballs way under, they're not even going to talk to them. They're not being, real.
But you have a price that you could sell the property for, rather than have it go back to the Senate.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. All things are negotiable. One of the things is what they emphasize too. We do not want what they call carry paper. In other words, you don't want somebody coming in and saying, we will give you $1 million, but we want you to finance $1 million or whatever. We're not in that kind of business, so we're not going to do that. Because if they renege, then we reassume the property, and that's not good. So, but if somebody come in with a substantial offer like cash, someone's like, we're going to cash you out, then you have to consider it. You have to think about it, and how low are you going to go in something like that? Or if they've got the financing already arranged, and it's going to cash you out too. So there's a lot of different scenarios, So, but, if somebody came in with $2 million cash tomorrow, we as a council, well, we bring that to the congregation. We bring that to the congregation, and then the congregation will vote on it.
Yeah. But having services over in the celebration center, how much does that save you?
Having services over in the celebration center, how much is that saving us as opposed
Not
to
having to heat, cool this building?
Okay.
A lot.
How much money is it saving us to have?
To worship over there
In the
in
celebration.
the celebration.
Well, a lot, but utility bills, it's mainly, back when I was treasurer, even then, it would be $600, $700, $800 a month just for this building. I think you have to remember, I don't want to go a great deal, but this building is not attached to the solar. This is the only part of the building that's not attached to solar. All the other buildings run off solar. But they didn't recommend, because of the limited usage here, they didn't remember. The thing that pulls a tremendous amount of power is
You can hear it.
when the thing first fires up, it sucks so much electricity to start this thing that it's just tremendous how much it does just starting the compressor. And once that's done, it starts running fairly smoothly, but that in itself costs hundreds of dollars just to fire the thing up. But because of the way that is, they didn't recommend attaching the solar to it because it wouldn't have made any difference.
and we can't change the system that's in here because it's built into the whole infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's not like we
And
get
it's
an
very
air
hard.
conditioner thing in
We
here.
run air conditioning. It's very hard to change the air conditioning system in this building because it was promoted as that. Charlie was there when we walked through with the one man, the way the air actually comes down the middle and then is sucked, I mean, this building was made for that air conditioning system that we have. And so it's very hard to change it.
That and the padlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the two things.
Say Charlie
Oh,
once,
no,
but you meant
sorry,
Yolanda.
I meant Yolanda. Bleh, I'm looking at Charlie. Okay, Yolanda, I'm gonna put you back on the speaker and see if you can tell us anything. Just a minute. Okay. Oh, don't tell me it changed again.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Look up.
Hello?
good. Yes, yes, we hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Several months ago, we did an analysis. Actually, Charlie did it because of, the sale of the building. We wanted to know what it cost for each room if we were to rent it out or if we were to use them ourselves. I don't know exactly, without going back to the numbers, what it costs to run the sanctuary with actual utility numbers, but I do know that the parish hall is more to run than the sanctuary, even with our HVAC problem. I would have to go back and give you all the numbers, but I do know after that analysis, the sanctuary is cheaper to run. Now, yes, we've had a problem with the HVAC, but we've had that problem for several years. Right now, the HVAC is fixed. I know one of the reasons we moved to the parish hall is because the HVAC wasn't fixed. But we have fixed it now. We have had problems with the parish hall air conditioners, and Jack, you can correct me. I think we still have one that needs work on. So, I can pull out all the numbers in the analysis
AC over there, does it
and give it to you, but I'm just giving you the bottom line, is that it was cheaper to run the sanctuary than it was the parish hall.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so that was surprising. That was surprising to me because I actually thought it was cheaper to heat and cool the parish hall than this big room here. So that's a surprise to me. I didn't know that you found it was cheaper to use the church. The sanctuary.
It all has to do with the analysis that we did for each room. If we wanted to rent out the rooms, what it cost us to operate those rooms. Charlie, am I correct in that, or did I misunderstand the analysis?
Yeah, correct. No, she's correct. I have the spreadsheet. They got a copy of it in the office. I've got a spreadsheet that tells every single cubbyhole in here and what it costs per hour to operate it so we can decide how much we want to charge them. But yeah, it's all broken down. Now, I haven't gotten this year's updated for last year because I don't have the numbers for this year as to the maintenance costs.
Yeah. Did that include maintenance? I thought you were.
What I did was I broke it down.
We calculated everything. We calculated maintenance. We calculated utilities. We calculated overhead with salaries. All of that, because that's all operating cost for the campus.
And that was for 2023. For 2023.
And that's why, when you found out it was more expensive to run the celebration center than the sanctuary?
Yes.
Whoa. That's hard to believe. I'm not questioning it was wrong. I'm just saying, what a shock.
Yeah.
We should come back here then.
Yeah, come back here.
Except that our sound sounds good there, but yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked also. And we double checked our numbers to make sure we weren't doing anything incorrectly.
I did that when we were looking at the door to find out what you should be paying.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, council, it sounds like council needs to talk some more about where we should be worshiping if we want to save money.
And what is the difference? How much difference? Is it huge or is it just difference?
I don't know.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. But I do know that when we were charging CASA for their time here, they were paying for their time that they were using our facilities. And of course, in that case, we knew that the door wasn't.
Yeah.
Theirs came up.
So it wasn't costing us extra for them to be in here? CASA, when they were.
For CASA, no, they paid.
I'm wondering if we need to call out a consult or somebody from the solar people, because I've always wondered why we've got 90 panels running what we're supposed to be, what's supposed to be running. I was surprised how we seem to be still getting electric bills that were higher than I expected. We did have one of the things was out for quite a few months and had to have that repaired, so it was only running out probably 60 panels because one of them was. But anyway, long story short, I've been kind of disappointed in how the bills came out after we had the solar, and I don't know why, but even years ago, we were trying to monitor.
Remember, Jack, that the Edison skyrocketed because of the debacle with that other utility company that they sold a lot of customers to. And then they had to take it back, and then they billed us thousands of dollars that should not have been billed. And it took us a while to get that straightened out. That also increased our cost.
Yeah. And
But I think it's a good idea. Maybe we should have the solar looked into to see if we're getting the proper credit.
I know everybody's electric bill went up recently.
Yep.
Ours went from, I don't know, in the summer when you're using your air conditioning, 200 and something to 300, and that went up to 900. My house. We live out by where the fires were. They had to redo all the wiring, all the cables, all the electrical, because they were found, responsible for starting that terrible fire. I think they're trying to make up their money on our, we're paying those high rates.
Boy, somebody ought to regulate that.
And they already, any of you that live out there along the edges, we all pay more taxes than you for CAL FIRE. We get taxed for that every year on top of our house taxes. So, yeah.
If those are kind of issues, ours didn't work for 2 years. They're using COVID as an excuse for not being able to get the power. They finally got the power. Our electric bill average 500 to 200, and that's what we're charging my car. So those inverters, if they don't work, it's just like you might as well just have a slab of meat sitting out there. Yeah. So
I know. Oh, I didn't know that. Where's Dave? Dave.
Oh, I just want to make a comment.
Yes, please say it loud, though.
We had a climate credit last month. I think we all got that. And my $200 normally expected electric bill, I got a $5.15 credit.
$5 is all they gave you?
I got a credit. My bill was, I only owed minus $5.15. So I'm sure everybody got their climate credit.
I didn't. Oh, you have to have solar?
No, nothing to do with solar. We get it twice a year.
I can't hear me.
Last time was in April.
Dave's talking about a credit he got from the...
I can't hear.
You got to unplug your thing.
Plugged it in one too many times, forgot it was in there. Dave's talking about a credit he got on his electric bill last month. And his bill was minus $5.
Yes.
Normally $200.
Normally it's $200. I didn't get that.
My neighbors all got it. You got it.
When we get the utility bills.
I told you if you live out there, anybody live up in Sprague Heights or anywhere like that?
Does the church qualify for that?
Oh, I don't know. Would churches be different?
Could be.
I
They
think,
should be.
I think
Is that only for
it's like
homeowners?
a commercial rate, it's not residential.
Commercial versus residential.
When we get the bill for last month, I'll take a look at it and see if we got any.
If we
kind
got
of
any credit, yeah.
Yeah.
How long? How much longer?
We gotta go. We're done. Actually, we don't have a lot. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day. Our goal for today was to think about why we're here. How can we stay together as a family, as a congregation? We need to support one another. We need to pray about it. And we need to hang on till we get some more answers. We're going to start lowering. I hope that's okay with you, but we're not going to sell until we talk to all of you again. So if it comes to a real bid that looks realistic and we need to negotiate, we're going to be back with you, and then we're going to have to vote. Are we going to accept it or not? Because we're all in this together. You use your counsel to do the hard work of doing all this business, but you guys are the bottom line. You're going to be voting on it before we do it. Yes.
Well, you saw that, all of you guys have seen the presentation that I did on the cost versus speak up.
Yeah.
All of you guys have seen the presentation that I did to the council a couple times as to if we get this much, then this should be set aside, and what it would cost for us. Would we can help in by clearing it up?
I don't think at this point we really need to hear it again, but, that was real interesting. But I think what we want to do is just, in general, we want to stay together. We need to keep, I really feel strongly we all need to keep doing our tithing that we can do, what we can do. If you can do any extra, that'd be great, because, that's just less in debt we are each month. And then we still have a few things we could still sell off. We could still do another yard sale, and we have a lot of other things. Maybe we could sell that. I think we could keep going for another 6 months if we have to, but after that, I don't know. So that's why I like the idea of 2 months. 2 months at this price, and if that doesn't get anybody interested, then we're going to lower it again, and 2 months at that, and then we'll let you know when we get a bite. It's like fishing.
Did you say that the owing on the solar was $190,000?
It's not solar.
We had to add a couple other things.
It's the
We had to
roofing.
fix a sewer system down at the.
Yeah, and the
There's
sewer.
a lot of things that are into that bill, not just solar.
Okay, so, but we owe now.
190.
Yeah, that's probably
Right.
it's to the mission investment fund, wherever we got our loans from. But Yolanda can speak, when they modified the loan in order to do that, and
Lower the price and
we
let it
took
sell.
on more debt when we had to make a couple of other repairs.
Major
Roofing and solar,
repairs.
everything were wrapped in together, and then we got this new loan for the
Time to go.
sewer problem down.
we took
Well, I make a motion to pass the phrase.
The sewer down again.
Yeah, that's right. We had to take out some more for the sewer.
They cash flow.
Okay,
Put in the loan.
I am going to call an end to the meeting. It's not a formal. Yes.
Let me say one thing.
Okay, sure.
As Barry said, it is time for us to send out pledge cards. And
Tell her, wait a minute.
the Finance Committee will be starting to create the budget for 2025 in November. So I want everybody to please pray about their pledges for 2025. Be realistic so that when the Finance Committee starts looking at the numbers, we have real numbers that we can work with, and we don't have inflated numbers that may create over the budget costs. So please pray about that, and please remember to be very realistic.
Let your yeas be
Thank you.
yeas and your nays nays.
Okay, thank you whoops, you can't hear me. Thank you very much, Yolanda, and thank you to all of you who came today and